So I take this opportunity to welcome every one of you. Those who joined us last week, I'm welcoming you again. Those who are not able to join us last week, it is your first time you're joining us. I also take this opportunity to welcome you. And I would want to wish that you communicate this clearly. People should read the timetable properly. People should read the timetable properly. Not, I don't know. When you read the timetable badly, you will always be misled. For example, if you are doing DCMS, huyo mwenye anatupigia kelele ni nani? Can you switch off your microphone? So we are saying this, that you need to look at your timetable properly. For example, if you are doing diploma in communication and media studies, study your timetable properly. Know that on Wednesday at 11 to 2, I have communication skills. Read the name of the teacher. The teacher is David Maina. At what time? From 11 to 2, I have communication skills. That is enough. Don't go and see that there are so many communication skills. One is on Thursday, the other one is on Wednesday, another one is on Monday, and so you decide to join the wrong group. All those are communication skills group, but you must fit in the right group. Why am I saying this? Tutapeana cards na tutapeana assignments. You'll find yourself doing assignment in the wrong group, a group that the teacher has not been teaching you, a group that your attendance hata haiko. So when we are asking you, how did you attend class? You don't even know. We are seeing 0 from one end and 0. Actually, you did not attend class because you are joining the wrong group, because you misread the timetable. At this juncture, wewe ni mtu mzima sasa, umeingia university. Soma timetable, fanya vitu kama msomi. There are so many groups, there are almost 4 groups that are being taught communication skills. Actually, like 5. There is one evening group. There is another group that is taught on Wednesday, today. There is another group that is taught on Monday. There is another group that is taught on Thursday. And so if you join the wrong group, you will be in a very hot soup. You'll be confused the whole semester. And you might not even do the exam. Or you might do the exam and then it is nullified. Kwa sababu tunatafuta marks zako hatupati. So check the timetable, read what the timetable says, and follow that. When you get into this particular group in your portal, you will see your group. Your group is by David Maina on Wednesday. Your group is on Monday by, say for example, Madam Winnie Odwar. Or it is on Friday by so and so. I'm just giving examples. That is what you're supposed to do. Read the timetable properly to enable you to be in the right group and to learn. Otherwise, the whole semester itaisha na hautakuwa umesoma. Tuko katikati ya semester, watu walifanya cut na they were marked and watu wako na results, wewe umekaa tu hujui uko wapi. You don't know the group that you are in. So ensure that you join the right group. That is my concern. Join the right group and everything will be well. Everything will be well. That's what I can say. Don't join the wrong group, because you will complain a mistake ni yako. You start complaining, I have been trying to enter the class, I cannot be able. You are complaining something that is not there. And these are things that we are telling you. Tunawaambia nyinyi wote. Madam Winnie is telling her group. I am telling my group. Like tomorrow I have a communication skills at 8 a.m. That's another group. So if you find yourself in that group, or if you have enrolled in that group, then you will be in the wrong group forever until the semester is over. And that is not my intention. My intention is that join the right group, we move together. So having said that, I hope everyone is well, and I hope you are faring well with life. I wish to share my screen so that we can proceed with topic 2. And topic 2 talks about oral communication. I hope you can see my screen. Lucy, can you see my screen? You have refused to talk, even when I have given you time to speak. Umesema leo siongei. Au uko nyumbani umekaa. Sasa ukiogopa na uko nyumbani na umekaa. Na kama ingekuwa physical class, you would have fainted. Now, today we are looking at oral communication. I know this is not, this might not be a new word to some of us, and to some of us, this is a new word. But when you talk about oral communication, I will not take you back to what we learned last week. Or maybe for the sake of those who are not here, let me just say this, that last week we had our first topic, and our first topic was Introduction to Communication Skills. And we looked at an introduction there that was saying that communication skills is just like breathing. And you cannot not communicate. Even when you say that you will not to communicate, you are still sending a message to us that you're communicating. And then after that, we looked at elements of communication. And some of the elements that we looked at as far as communication is concerned, we looked at the sender, we looked at the message, we looked at the receiver, we looked at feedback, we looked at the environment. We also looked at what? At noise. Yes, we looked at noise, and we looked at the path through which a message passes. We also looked at that. That is the channel. We also looked at the channel. Apart from that, looking at the elements of communication, we also looked at features of communication, where we said communication is reversible. Once you say something, you have just said it and you cannot take it back. So you must be very careful with what you say, because it can damage someone's reputation. It can damage someone's emotionally, even emotionally and psychologically. So be very careful with what you say, because communication is irreversible. Communication is not a panacea. We said that it doesn't mean that because you are using communication, you will get the right answer or you'll be able to solve a problem. Of course, we can use communication to solve a problem, but it is not a guarantee that when you find two people fighting and you've gone to settle dispute, that you will manage. It might not be well. It might not go as, it is not actually, okay, it's not a guarantee that because you know how to communicate, that you'll be able to solve something through communication. So it is not a panacea. Then number 3, we said that communication is a process. It's a process that happens so fast such that you cannot realize whether it is a process. And then we said that communication is what? Yeah, there are some other features of communication that we said about. And then, okay, then we said that communication is strategic, that we use communication to achieve specific purposes, like people who sell products and services. They may use communication to persuade other people to buy. Like if your relationship is not going on well, and this I mean relationship, any kind of relationship. It can be a father-daughter relationship, or a father-son relationship, or a husband-wife relationship, or a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, or a girl-girl relationship, girlfriend-girlfriend relationship, or a boyfriend-boyfriend relationship. It is not going well. So you can use communication to do what? To settle your issues. so that this relationship can work very well. That is another thing. And another feature of communication. Then from there, we looked at elements of communication, not elements, but we looked at levels of communication. We looked at what we call intra-communication, intrapersonal communication. We looked at what we call interpersonal communication. Then we also looked at direct communication. After direct communication, we then looked at what we call indirect communication, and then small group communication and public communication. Those are the levels of communication we tackled. Then from there, I think the next thing that we looked at is what? Also, we looked at models of communication. We looked at models of communication, one by Schramm, and then one by Shannon and Weaver, and another one, I can't remember the other one, but we looked at Shannon and Weaver and Schramm's model of communication, and also the process of communication that starts from the sender all the way to feedback. And then from there, I think that was the end of our lesson. I can't remember anything that we tackled beyond that point. I think that was the end of our lesson. I gave activities, discussion forums, and I also gave a quiz that I believe some of you did. Now today, being the second week, now being the third week, this is the third week since we opened school, we are tackling topic 2. And topic 2, we are talking about oral communication. Now, when you talk about oral communication, like I had started, this term is familiar to some of us, and also to some of us, this term may not be familiar. It is the first time you're hearing of the word oral communication. Now, when you talk about oral communication is communication through word of mouth. Or we can say oral communication is also known as verbal communication. Oral communication is a means of communicating by use of mouth. You use your mouth to communicate. And it is the primary form of communication. It is the primary form of communication. It is the basic form of communication. Everybody who can talk usually talks. And this is the primary form of communication, and it is the use of spoken language that gives human a great advantage over animals. Those people who say that animals don't talk. They communicate. Animals communicate. For example, those who have pets, dogs as pets or pets as dogs, you can tell when your pet is sick. Like if you have a dog, you can tell that this dog is not feeling well. This dog is hungry. This dog has seen something strange, because there is a way they react. Those who have chickens at home, you can tell that this chicken is not feeling well, or this hen is not feeling well. You can even tell that these chickens, they are very excited, or they need food. There is a particular sound that they produce that communicates something to you. If you have ever been with animals, those people who have cows in the village, and you have taken time maybe serving them, or serving them with food, cleaning their places, actually you have interacted with these animals. You realize that there a certain time they produce a certain sound to depict that they are feeling pain, to depict that these animals are not, they are healthy, or to depict that they have seen something strange. Like chicken, when they see something strange, there is a noise they produce. Even if they see someone who is strange, they will produce a certain sound. And that sound communicates to you that something strange is happening outside. Those who have geese and goose, when they see something strange, there is a sound that they produce. And that sound communicates to us that there is something that these things have seen. So let me check what is happening. So that being able to speak is the only advantage that we have as humans compared to animals. Animals cannot speak. I know you have watched, is it Americans Got Talent? And you saw a dog speaking. Now that is not speaking. It is producing sounds synonymous to speaking. Sounds that looks like this dog is speaking. I saw a Chihuahua dog talking, but that is not talking. The kasuku, the parrot, we have seen them imitating the sounds of human beings. That is not speaking. They are actually imitating, they are producing sounds, or they are imitating the sounds of a human being or a certain thing. Animals don't speak. Don't be lied to anybody. When God created animals, he knew very well that these things cannot speak. And that is the advantage that we have over animals. Animals cannot speak, we can speak. Even the animal that looks like that closely look like human being, that is the chimpanzee and the monkeys, and even the gorillas, they don't speak. How come the dog is speaking and it walks with 4 legs? How comes the parrot is speaking and it is what? It is a pet, or it's a bird. The gorilla does not speak. Umewahi kusikia gorilla anaongea? I think if animals were to speak, we would have started with gorillas and monkeys. Because according to what we call the evolution theory, is it the evolution theory? Yes, they said that human beings came from animals, from baboons, or from gorillas or something of the sort. Then, if there are animals that should be the ones to speak first, then it should be gorillas. It should be monkeys, baboons. So that said and done, we go to advantages of oral communication or verbal communication. Number one, it is a learnable and improvable human activity. So when one advantage of oral communication is that we can learn and improve our human activity. I believe and I know that there are some people in this particular forum that they don't know how to speak. That if you are told to speak in front of people, you'll start speaking in your own language because of panic. There are situations when you ask people to give a speech, like for example, some of you, maybe some of you, and maybe you don't understand why it happens to you. Anytime you are told you are going to give a speech or you are going to give us a talk on this particular thing, you panic, you talk, you are very good when you are alone, you can express yourself very well. But when it comes to people, many people, you cannot speak well. In the language that you are having, it looks like it has disappeared, or it comes out distorted. Okay, what is in your mind is something that is good. I don't know whether you are getting me. Ile kitu iko kwa akili yako ni umepanga kusema hivi, lakini unapoitoa kwa mdomo inatoka vibaya sana. It comes out very badly, and because of maybe, for example, panic. So it is a learnable and improvable human activity. That's why we need to train ourselves to speak in front of others. We should learn how to do that. And that one comes with experience. There are people who don't know how to pronounce words. And it is good that when you are at home, take a novel, take anything that you can read it aloud to yourself. Read it aloud to yourself, and you are going to improve. You're going to improve on your communication skills. Sometimes we speak even in front of mirrors. So ukiona mtu anaongea mbele ya kioo, hiyo ni kawaida. That is normal. That's a normal person. Remember last week we tackled intrapersonal communication. So when you see someone talking to himself or children, they are playing and they are talking to themselves, don't say that they are abnormal. That is normal. It means that there is something that is happening in their head. There is intrapersonal communication that is happening in their mind. You hear them talking and then they are responding to themselves. That is very normal. Na hiyo ndio tulikuwa tunasema ya kwamba unajiita kama mkutano. Hiyo unajiitanga mkutano, unajiongelesha ukijirudishia. Wewe ndio uko kwa hiyo mkutano, wewe ndio chair na wewe ndio audience. Unauliza swali na unajirudishia wewe mwenyewe. That is what is called interpersonal communication. It happens within you. So then, another disadvantage of oral communication, it is more accurate reflection of thought and attitude of the speaker. So when you meet people who are talking, you are able to tell this kind of a person, you are able to explain the kind of, or you are able to tell the kind of people they are. They say that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. A bad person is a bad person. Even if that bad person pretends to be good. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. If I like you, out of the abundance of the heart, I will tell you. If I hate you, I will tell you as days goes by. So through oral communication, there is what we call an accurate or true reflection of thought, the way you think about me, the attitudes you have towards me. You will actually unleash them. So that is oral communication. Number 3, it creates and sustains warm interpersonal relationship. It creates and sustains warm interpersonal relationship. Oral communication. I don't know whether you have heard people saying such a thing we don't have to discuss over the phone. Wewe kuja tuonane tuongee. Hii mambo si mambo ya kuongea kwa simu. It's because there is that interpersonal communication. I am learning something from you through observing you and your reactions, and you are learning something from me. And you can tell that this person is the right kind, is the right person I should have, or I should have as a friend or something like that. Lastly, not lastly, but number 4, it combines sight and sound, and therefore it enables the participant to benefit from both verbal and non-verbal stimulus. As I speak to you, maybe face to face, you are able to see me, you are able to look at the way I am looking at you, and you are able to tell that huyu mtu hana ubaya, because it combines sight and sound. And again, you are able to look at my non-verbal cues, my non-verbal messages that I'm passing across, and you can tell, you can judge from that. That's why when you apply for a job, they call you for an interview to see whether whatever you wrote them as a CV or a cover letter really communicates the person. Some of us, we go somewhere and we tell people to write cover letters for us and to write a CV for us. It is not bad. Now you find a very good CV curriculum vitae, yeah? It talks very nicely about you. But when you're called in the interview, because you have indicated fluent in English, fluent in Kiswahili, fluent in this language. So when you're called to express yourself, they find you are struggling even to explain something very simple. And they wonder, what kind of a person is this? He has a very good CV that does not reflect what he has written. That's why you are called for an interview. Ndio wale watu waone, huyu ni nani, ako hivi, hii CV iko very nice. This CV is very good. Let's call this person for an interview. Let's interrogate him further so that we know whether he is like what the CV says about him or her. The next point, it allows instantaneous exchange of ideas, information, opinions, feelings, and attitude. That is very true. When we talk to you with you orally, we can be able to exchange ideas simultaneously. We are able to exchange our attitudes and our opinions and even give information instantaneously. Instantaneously simply means instantaneously simply means at a go. It enables participants to seek immediate clarification whenever in doubt of the meaning being negotiated. For example, maybe I speak something, you can ask for clarification. You can ask, Mr. David, what did you mean by saying this? When you talked about communication skills, that there are various groups, what do you mean? Does it mean that others are being taught communication skills that you're not teaching us? Because there are two teachers. There is one teacher, me, and there is another one. Does it mean that that teacher, when he's teaching, is using different notes than us, than the ones you are using? Maybe you can seek such a clarification. The next point, it also provides for instantaneous feedback, and therefore it makes it possible for participants to assess the success or failure of the communication effort. This one is self-explanatory. Advantages, it lacks permanence. This reminds me when I was doing my undergraduate at Moi University, is this teacher who used to teach us communication skills. I can't remember her name, but I can remember something that he used to tell us. That when it comes to oral communication, it lacks permanence. And he used to tell us that if you want to abuse someone, of course, abusing someone is not right. But if you want to abuse someone, don't write a text message. Don't write a text message to people. Don't write an email. Don't even call them over the phone, because nowadays we can record a conversation. Don't do that. Take this person to an open field and tell them that he is the biggest goat that ever lived. That person, even if he goes where, sue you to say that you abused them, you can easily deny that. Easily tell that person, I did not tell you, I did not say something of the sort. This person will not have evidence that you called him the biggest goat that ever lived. The next point, does not allow participants' thought to crystallize, therefore result into imprecise communication and even outright errors, which could be avoided in written communication. This one tells us the advantage of written communication over what we call oral communication. Sometimes, I'm actually trying to explain this point. There are people who are not very quick to think. People who are very sharp in thinking during a meeting or during a meeting or during a seminar or during a meeting. Let me just say during a meeting. There are people who are very fast, very sharp in thinking. And all of us are not sharp in thinking. Some of us, it takes time for us for our thought to crystallize, to digest the information so that we can react to the message. For example, let me give a scenario. We call it what? A hypothetical scenario. Suppose you have been called to a date. You are a young man, you have called a lady for a date. And you go and meet somewhere, and you are having your dinner, you are having some conversation with this person. And one of them, of course, one of them does not, the thoughts are not crystallizing very fast as opposed to the other, or maybe both of you. So you'll find that after the date, you may go and lie down and you start imagining and replaying the tape, to replay the tape of what happened during your date. And you will realize that there are so many things that were happening, and it is that time that you are realizing. It is that time that you are realizing that you are called pretty. It is that time that you are realizing that this person was looking at you in a suggestive way. It is that time you are realizing that the words that he said concerning your education, maybe concerning your what? Concerning your figure, maybe, or concerning your facial expression or face, or maybe your hair. So that way, you are not able to let your thoughts crystallize, but now when you are alone, the thoughts can crystallize. You can now get the meaning of the meaning, the actual meaning that this person was trying to pass while you are on a date. Other people are very quick. There are people who are very quick to notice. You don't have to say 1,000 words to them. They know exactly what you mean. Number 3, there is a possibility of distortion of meaning. People can distort the meaning in oral communication. For example, somebody tells you that you are fat. And then you ask them, what have you just said? Then they tell you, you are looking very beautiful, and you are looking elegant. You see, that person has already distorted the meaning that he was trying to pass across. It can easily be denied. Very true. I can say I did not say it. I really said it. Oral communication can easily be denied. It has little weight as a contractual evidence. So if you go to Kamulu and buy a plot of land, because this is your friend who is selling to you a plot of land at 1.9 million, so unasema hakuna haja ya makaratasi, tusisign, wewe ni rafiki yangu, tumetoka mbali, so you give him or her 1.9 million cash. And you agree that this is my plot, just like that. And then when you go to build on that particular plot, you see a policeman coming after you. And then when they're asking you, why are you building on another person's plot of land? You say, I bought it. The first thing they'll ask you, where is the evidence that you bought this particular plot? And then you start saying, this is an agreement between me and my friend. My friend, you'll be arrested and you'll be put in prison for taking a land that does not belong to you. And when you go to court, there will be no evidence that you bought that particular land. So never trust. In fact, never trust your friends. Your friends are the worst enemies. Even your relatives, they are the worst enemies. That's why you find that people, when they start businesses, they don't employ their relatives. They would rather employ people from outside, people that they can fire, people that they can lecture in case of anything. But you try employing a relative, a brother or a sister, or even a cousin. If he sells something at a loss, you find that you will, okay, you cannot fire them, you cannot lecture them, because again, if you lecture them, the story will spread at home that you are a very bad person, ABCD, ABCD. Huh? So if you want to employ someone, employ somebody who is not your relative, because if you employ your relative, the relationship between you and also other people in the family may be tarnished. So verbal messages and misunderstandings. So misunderstandings are a fact of life. Understand you is a fact of life. And to misunderstand you is a fact of life. It is normal to misunderstand someone. It's very normal. It is very normal to misunderstand someone. The process of encoding and decoding is not perfect. Encode simply means put the message. Like, for example, last week we talked about the sender. We said the sender, the initiator of the communication, is the person who has the idea that he wants to pass across the receiver. Now, the ideas come from the mind. Ideas come from the mind. Thoughts come from the thoughts. Now, when you want to put that thought in a language or in a way that can be understood, that process of putting the thought in a language in a way that can be understood is called encoding. Encoding. For example, you have an idea in the mind. You want to do what? You have an idea in the mind. Maybe you want to call the teacher and tell him, tomorrow we can have a makeup class. So that idea, when you put it in a text message, the process of putting the idea from the thoughts to a text message, it is encoding. Or maybe you come to my class late, physical class. Then I tell you to go back because you are already late. Then you walk in protest and you bang the door behind you. That is encoding. Already it was in your mind. Nakasirika sana, hata nigongeshe hiyo mlango nikitoka. Huyu mwalimu, wanafunzi wake wenye anafunza, jua ya kwamba pia mimi nimekasirika. That is encoding. You have an idea in your mind to draw President Raila, President Ruto. You draw President Ruto and you put him in a portrait. That is encoding. You have an idea in the mind, write a poem to a friend of yours. That is encoding. Decoding is the opposite. Decoding is when you send the message to me, and I try to internalize, to read and understand. That process of reading the message and understanding it, so that I can do what? I can give you feedback or I can react on it, is known as decoding. Sometimes in an exam, you may be told, differentiate between encoding and decoding. I've already explained that. So we are saying misunderstanding is one of the facts of life, and the process of encoding and decoding is not perfect. The process of putting the message down to go to Mr. Maina is not perfect. Yesterday, I was communicating with someone. It was on WhatsApp. I don't know that I deleted the message. Yes, I did. Yeah, the message is here. And I was talking to a friend. Maybe I can stop sharing. And I can share my screen with you so that you can see the communication. The communication is here. This is a friend of mine. I called him Mr. Douglas. I remember your contribution. I will update it. Thank you for your feedback. Then he said, it is Mr. Wachira. Then I said, sorry, it's Wachira. I remember you gave me cash. And that was for November contribution, which is already updated. Then he said November was cleared. And then you can see, okay, there is a place, I don't know, I've not captured that place. There's some communication, there's a way he communicated that I didn't understand exactly what he was meaning. His English was not so good. His English was not so good, and I did not understood exactly what this person was trying to say. Now, that is why we are saying decoding and encoding. The person who wrote the message might not write it perfectly that you understand, that you may understand, or that you can understand. While the person even who is reading the message may not read it properly and understand. There are people who read the message haphazardly and they react very badly. So those are errors of life. Unaweza nitumia message, nikwambie niliona message yako. There are times when someone sends me a message and tell me, I wrote you a message. Then I say, yes, I saw your message. And then what did you do about it? Then I ask, what do you mean? There is something I asked you to do for me. Then I respond by saying, no, I did not see that. Then I read the message very properly and I realize this person wanted me to do something. So those are facts of life. To misread people's messages, to misread people's messages and reacting negatively. So we will begin with, it is not perfect, but because the most basic language problem involves misunderstanding, then we are going to begin with looking at how to prevent this type of what we call miscommunication. Number one, to prevent miscommunication or to ensure that there is no miscommunication, use an equivocal term. Use an equivocal term to avoid misunderstanding. Now, when you talk about unequivocal terms are terms that you use that brings about misunderstanding. So in short, you are being told, use equivocal terms. Use equivocal terms. For example, if I tell you, let's meet on Wednesday evening for a cup of coffee, that is what we call an equivocal term. There are so many Wednesdays in the year 2024, starting from January all through to December. So which one do you mean? And at what time? And where? That is an equivocal term. When your teacher tells you, or when you are working with a company and someone tells you, have you finished my work? And then you tell them, soon, I'll be done. How soon is soon? Those are equivocal and unequivocal terms. So avoid such terms so that people can understand you. Then you're told, use lower level abstraction when clarity is necessary. Use lower level abstraction when clarity is necessary. Any object or idea can be described at various levels. Some very general, other quite specific. Low-level abstractions are specific concrete statements that refer directly to an object or to an event. For example, I've given that example. If your boss tells you, how long will the work take? And you tell them, very soon I'll be done. You must be very quick to tell us how soon is very soon. Tell us tomorrow morning at 8, the work will be okay. Personally, I don't like people who tell me soon I'll send. I don't like such words. You tell me the date and the time so that I wait. So that when that time comes, I will remind you what is happening. Number 3, use slang with caution. Those people who like using slangs and sheng, use it with caution. That language is not an official language. Those people who come from ghetto and those who come from where it is used mostly, try to avoid that language. That language, if you're a student, it will ruin your life. It will ruin your life completely. Use slang with caution. Why am I saying this? Sheng or slang did not start yesterday. It even did not start last year. This language has been there ever since. Even when I was doing my degree, it was there. Why am I referring to degree? Because that is when I was a student. And when I was a student, I used to apply for so many jobs. I started applying my jobs in second year, I guess. Third semester, second year. And I used to be called for interviews. And I used to go for these interviews. And I was very good in Sheng. Until it got to a point, I realized this Sheng is not doing me any good. So there was a time I was called for an interview by one of the SACCO as a, and the job was Assistant Public Relations Officer. So I went for that interview, and the interview was very good, and everything went on very well. And then I was called for a second interview. And when I went for a second interview, I was told, imagine you are the Assistant Public Relations Officer for this particular SACCO, and you meet a client outside who doesn't speak English, nor speak Kiswahili, who doesn't speak English. He only speaks mother tongue and what we call Kiswahili. Can you tell this client of ours about the products that we have? My friend, with the Sheng influence in me, that is where I went wrong. And that is when I realized that Sheng it is doing me no good. And I even imagined I have a family, I get married to a wife, to a lady, then I have a family, then my children are speaking Sheng. What kind of a family is that? Sheng, as long as you're a student, avoid it as a plague, because it will affect you, even expressing yourself. That is not the first interview. There were several interviews that I went, and it became so difficult for me to express myself during an interview without the influence of Sheng. And Sheng, you know, is a combination of English words, Kiswahili words. Some are mother tongue, others are words I don't know where they were borrowed from. Unapata unaongea language ingine haieleweki. Instead useme hiyo ni uongo, unaanza kusema hapana, hizo zilikuwa stori za jaba. Surely. Instead of saying nilikuwa nafanya mtihani, nilikuwa nafanya, is it TEI ama what do you call it? What do you call exam in Sheng? Ruth Mbaluka. What do you call exam in Sheng? Hiyo language ambayo mnatumia, it's not a good language. Use it with caution, and then use jargons judiciously. When you talk about using jargon judiciously, you'll have to judge the situation. That if I'm going to use a jargon, actually, before we talk about a jargon is a word that comes from, it's a technical word or a word that is used by a different people in certain profession. Like, for example, you'll find that medical practitioners, they have their own jargons. You'll find that engineers, electrical engineers, they have their own jargons, and they use them at their place of work or with their fellow engineers. If you go to lawyers, they have jargons, millions of them, and they use it with other lawyers or in an environment where everybody understands what they are saying. So in short, when you're using jargons, use them judiciously. Make sure that the people who are there, everybody understands what you are saying. Don't use a jargon. You are an electrical engineer, you are using your jargons to a group of people who have not done engineering and who have never been in an engineering class or engineering company. You'll actually be doing them injustice. You'll actually be talking to yourself. So use jargon judiciously. Judge the situation. Judge the people who are listening to you. Do they really understand, or do they know what I'm talking about? Are we from the same profession? So then there is also what we call working on your verbal communication. And that as you set to communicate verbally, you will be more successful if you use words that have the same meaning to the person you are communicating to. So for you to improve your verbal communication, you will need to consider the following. For you to improve your verbal communication, you need to look at or to consider the following. What do you want to say? When you're involved in one-on-one communication, you often have a chance to clear misunderstanding. That is very true. And you can tell if the other person is confused. You can tell whether the other person is annoyed, and so on and so forth, from their facial expression, from their body movement, or other verbal cues. So when you're talking with a big group, it may not be easy to clear up misunderstanding, because these are people who are, like, for example, this particular group, it's very difficult to clear misunderstanding. So in order to clear up confusion, especially in public speaking, you must consider what is it that you want to say. Like, if, for example, if you invite me for a public speaking speech, to give a speech. Last December, I was given an opportunity to give a speech to young boys and men on effect of technology on men and boys. And I had to know what I want to say. I had to plan for that particular speech. And it went on very well. Then that particular December, I also was given an opportunity to speak to these young boys who have just gone through circumcision. There were many, there were so many. And I was to speak about the effect of social media. And I had to plan, how will I tell these people? So you need to know what to say, so that at least when you know what to say, it becomes very easy even to explain. How do you want to say it? Once you have figured out what you want to say, you must choose the language you are going to use. It is also important for you to determine to what extent you have to define terms you have used. That is very true. And then we are saying that if you are giving speech about justice, for example, you have to consider the language you use very careful. This is because justice is an abstract word as well as an emotional one. If you start talking about justice, watu watakupiga mawe bana kama uelewi ni nini unasema. You're talking about justice, and there is someone who is seated in the hall, or is seated in a group that you're talking to, who has never even gotten justice in court, and so on and so forth. He was maybe, the brother was beaten and killed, that he has stolen, of which he had not stolen anything. They have never gotten justice. So justice is something that is very emotional, and it is very abstract. Abstract simply means what? It's a word that you can use so much words to explain. It's not so clear. It's not so specific. It's a general word. So to whom are you talking? It's good to know the people that you're talking to, and to lower your level to their level. For example, I've told you that last year, I was given an opportunity to speak to young boys who have just gone through circumcision. These are just very young boys between the age of, we can say between the age of 11 or 9 to around 14. These are young boys. Wengine ndio wamemaliza second primary school. I had to put my level to their level so that they understand what I'm talking about. So if you're talking about the beach, for example, to a person who is from northern Kenya, then you are likely to have this person is likely to have a little idea of how it feels to be in a beach. That is a person from northern Kenya. Even though he may understand the concept intellectually, and therefore some knowledge of listeners' interest, experience. In other words, when you're talking about something, know to whom are you talking to, so that at least something like that. Then there is also what we call meta messages. Meta messages are messages that comes from beyond the way someone is speaking. Ukiangalia huyo mtu vile anaongea, There are some other messages that are hidden that are coming out clearly. For example, this is an example that I've written here. For example, in a meeting at a branch managers countrywide, for example, at a meeting of branch managers countrywide in Mombasa, the CEO introduces all the managers. So this is a meeting that was held in Mombasa. And this meeting was for all branch managers. Assume that these branch managers were from a company like Safaricom, a big company like Safaricom, or a big company like Airtel. So they go to Mombasa and all branch managers are called by the CEO. Now the CEO introduces all the managers. Manager from Kitale, manager from Mombasa, manager from Kisumu, manager from this place called Embu, from Meru, manager from Nakuru, manager from Kisii, manager from... He introduces all the managers except the Kitale branch manager. What would you think about it? Utaona tu ni oversight, eh? It is a simple oversight. No, it's not a simple oversight. This is a meta language. It's a meta message. It is a message. It is communicating something. Maybe this person was fired and we don't know. Or maybe this person did something that was not good. And so, ametolewa kwa hiyo team. I happened to read this particular example to a student, an evening student. And then I asked them, what do you think about this? It was just by coincidence. So this student told me, Mwalimu, let me tell you, there was a time I was working for a certain company and we met for a meeting and the branch manager introduced all the staff except me. The following day I was fired. He said that message properly, it fits my situation that particular time. So that is it. So you need to look at meta messages, information or communication that comes from what is happening or that comes from what is being communicated. Those are called meta messages. Language choice, you need to be very clear, use a clear language and concise language. Don't complicate issues. You know, some people like Ababu na Mwamba will use words that are very difficult, technical words, jargons, to show people how learned they are or how educated they are. By the way, if you use jargons, if you use what we call Sheng, or if you use your mother tongue, or if you use any other language that people don't understand, you have not communicated. Because when we started this class, we said that communication is a process of creating a common understanding between the sender and the receiver. That whatever I intend the receiver to do should be the feedback that I get from the receiver. Power talk, avoid, you're being told that you need to do what we call powerful talk. And what do we mean? We are saying that powerful talk is the talk that comes directly from the point, talk, that does not use hesitation. So people who engage in power talk are found to be more credible, more attractive, and more persuasive. So to achieve power talk, you should avoid hedges and qualifiers. For example, you are talking to people and you're saying, I know, you know, you're saying, you know that person. I know you know. I'm assuming those kind of things, such as, you know, such as, isn't it, wouldn't it be good? Would it be good? Will it be good? Such kind of things. Again, vividness, be very clear. Clarity, here we are saying that make your language vivid. Make your language vivid. Vividness also comes from unique form of speech. When we say language is vivid, we often mean that someone had found a new way of saying old things. Yeah, you look for a new way of saying old things. Moral choices, be very moral when you're giving your stories. If you're giving your stories to people from a certain religion, there are people from even certain cultures, it is not right to look at them directly in the eyes. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he told me when in our culture, when you are greeting an old person, you don't maintain the eye contact with them because it is a sign of disrespect. To our Islamic brothers and sisters, it is also a disrespect when you are greeting a lady and you are looking at the lady directly on the eyes. It is disrespect. So we can also moral choices. When you're using some words, it's bad to say that this one is fat like a pig. Use a good word. When you're telling people that you, the one with four eyes, meaning that they have spectacles, it's disrespect. Respect people when you're giving a talk. So improving on your verbal skills. What should you do to improve your verbal skills? Increase your vocabulary. How do you increase your vocabulary? Read. Anytime you get a new word, check from the dictionary what it means so that you can understand its context and you can understand that word very well. Number 2, adapting your oral language. That as you talk to people, become conscious of them as part of a particular individual for whom you need to adapt your message. If you're talking to children, adapt your message to their level. If you're talking to old people, adapt your message to old people. Like I keep on saying this, there are these things, we called them Mugabe's. Mugabe's what? Mugabe's quote. There is a quote I came across, and it was saying that treat every part of your towel with respect, because the part that wiped your buttocks in the morning may be the part that will wipe your face in the evening. Now, assuming that you have done your speech, you are giving it to the CEOs of company, or maybe you have been called in a climate change summit that was happening the other day in Kenya here. And you are one of the CEO who is going to present something there. And you end with Mugabe's quote, treat every part of the towel with respect. For the part that wiped your buttocks in the morning may be the part that will wipe your face in the evening. What do you think people will say about you? So adapt your oral language. Break bad habits, that although someone may tell you that you are making language mistakes, such as poor grammar, you will probably find it hard to correct yourself because you are so accustomed to talking that way. So you need to break bad habits of talking badly and using vulgar language, obnoxious language, and so on and so forth. Because you are accustomed to do what? Talking that way. So if you are also in an environment where mistakes are constantly made, there are people who come from such environment. Mistakes is the order of the day. If you are also from the environment where mistakes are constantly being made, it is even more difficult. And the only way to correct such mistakes is to have someone constantly pointing them out to you. Maybe you want to say spectacles, you end up saying testicles. And then somebody tells you, not testicles, it is spectacles. You wanted to say quagmire, you ended up saying something else. Then somebody tells you, not like that, it is said like this. You wanted to say Phoebe, you ended up saying Foebe. You wanted to say cucumber, you ended up saying susumba or cucumber. Somebody tells you, no, it is not said like that, you say it like this. So if you live in an environment where mistakes are constantly made, it becomes difficult for you to change. So it is up to you to have someone who constantly points out the mistakes that you are doing or the mistakes you are making while speaking so that you can improve on your grammar. So having said that, I think I've come to the end of today's lesson, unless there is a question. Kuna swali? Is there any question? Let's go on. You are breaking. Kennedy Kimanzi, you are the one talking and you're breaking. Tukusikii Kimanzi, ama kuna mtu anamsikia? Manzi, you are breaking. We can't hear you. Unless there is someone who is hearing you clearly. I'm hearing you. I'm not hearing you clearly from my side. Masi Koril, can you hear Mutuku? Masi Koril. Naweza kumsikia?
No.
Let's ask another person. Zainab, can you hear Koril clearly? Zainab, can you speak?
I'm saying
Yes.
differentiate again between encoding and decoding.
Or you want me to repeat decoding and encoding?
Yes.
We said that encoding is a process of putting your thoughts in a form that can be understood by the receiver. You see, the receiver, sender, is the initiator of the message. He is the one that starts the conversation. The one who has ideas. Is the one who has some information that he wants to communicate. So that information is already in his mind. The moment you put it in a form that can be understood by the receiver, that is what we call encoding. Decoding is the opposite of encoding. Actually, encoding is in the side of the sender. Encoding is on the side of the sender. Decoding is on the side of the receiver. The moment you send your message, just like we have decoders in our homes, decoder, the purpose of the decoder is to read the CD. Kiweka CD inasoma hiyo CD. The purpose of decoder. So we also have decoding. Decoding is when you receive the message and you want to internalize it, you want to understand, so that you can respond to that. You can respond to the sender of the message. That's how it is. Decoding is trying to internalize and trying to understand the message so that you can respond to it in the right way or in the right manner. Hope that one is understood. Any other question? Let me go to the chat. Is the jargon word abbreviations? I don't understand it, sir. I don't know what you mean. Is the jargon word abbreviations? What is this now? I don't understand what you have written. Would you please repeat on language choice? We are not getting him. Can you repeat language choice on clarity point? Kwani ulikuwa wapi, Michelle? You please repeat on language choice. Language choice. What have we said about language choice? Let me minimize this. Language choice. Hiyo tulisemea wapi? Language choices, hizo zote. Language choices, we looked at clarity. We said that you need to be clear in your communication, avoid jargons and slangs, any language that brings about confusion. But two, we talked about power talk as far as language talk is concerned. Avoid words that are called qualifiers, such as I guess, you know, would it be nice? Would it be good? Wouldn't it be good? Such kind of words. Those are called qualifiers. Avoid such words and use power talk, because people who use power talk, they are found to be more credible. Vividness, be very clear in your language. We often mean that someone had found a new way of saying old things. Find a new way of saying old things. Like if you're talking about organs, say for example, you're talking about body organs, or maybe you are talking about something that is awful, something that is not sounding right, that in its natural way, it sounds very, very, very what? Very absurd, or it sounds very obnoxious. You can look for ways of saying those old things, or those words, those you can find a way of saying things the right way. And then moral choices, we are saying that respect people. Know the choice of words that you're supposed to use. So sorry for that. I was receiving a call from the HOD. So I hope I've answered your question that when you're using moral choices, don't, like, for example, don't, like, there is this particular situation when the Minister for Education, may his soul rest in peace, his name was Magoha. And he was being interviewed by this group of journalists, and one of the journalists was an Islamic sister or msichana wa Kiislamu, na alisema wewe si Al-Shabaab, that is very bad. You don't say that such kind of things. Again, there was a time, no, let me not use that such examples, but calling someone fat is not right. You better look for ways of that you can call or you can address someone, or pig, or even pig. When you call someone a pig, is fat like a pig. My friend, imagine you are somebody is saying that you are fat like a pig. How would you feel? So we need to remember to make moral choices in our use of language, and many moral choices we make not only determine how we present ourselves to others, but they also decide the nature of our relationship in the years to come. Any question? Seek clarification when in doubt of the meaning being negotiated. So clarification in advantages. Now I'm looking at your conversation here. I'm trying to understand. I think I've repeated on language choice. Language choice nimerudia. We are talking about the 7 categories of jargons are medical terminology, abbreviations, acronym, medical vernacular, unnecessary synonyms, medicalized English, euphemism, jargon, and judgmental. Now I understand. Yes, that is it. DBMA members, please add me to the WhatsApp group. I've not yet created that group. I've not even shared that link. And then there is DAF. We need our WhatsApp group. In advantages of communication, point number 6, you said it enables participants to seek what? Now I will share the notes you will see to seek clarification. Yeah. So any other question? So having said that, allow me to share a link, a WhatsApp group link that you will be joining. And this link is specifically for communication purposes. You know, this life, it's not straight. Mambo huwa ina happen. Unapata ya kwamba class huwa ina bounce because of course, genuine reason. You may be called for a meeting and you find that in that particular time, not be able to hold that particular lesson. And maybe I need to communicate. Maybe I will also need to communicate about your performance. And therefore, I've shared the link there, our WhatsApp link. Maybe let me share it properly. So I've shared our WhatsApp link there. So when you click on that link, you'll start joining the group. So kindly use that link to join the group. I'm still waiting. Someone has joined. Already 2 people have joined, I can see. People are joining, I can see them. How many so far have joined? And see 15 members have already joined the group. I'll pick the first person who has joined the group to be our group admin. Let me stop recording this class.